Hello and welcome back to the roads of Elden Ring. Today we are going to have a look at the Altus Plateau from a level and world design perspective. I'm currently here on the map, right at the Grand Lift of Dectus, and we will have a look at the whole Altus Plateau in this video. The first path we will take is straight to the capital rampart, where you basically can enter the Leyndell. And then we will have a look at basically all the rest of this of the Altus Plateau. So let's start. The Dectus, what's it called? The Grand Lift of Dectus is being protected by these two golems. They are not hostile to the player, I think. At least not if you enter the Altus Plateau via the Grand Lift of Dectus. I'm not sure if it's the case if you take the route through this dungeon level thingy over there. I'm not sure about that. But if we have a look at the architecture of this road, it's basically the same thing at as the what's it called? The Bellum Highway. This is because this is the Leyndell architecture, and they've started to build in Liurnia as well, up to the point where the bridge to the academy starts. If we have a look to the right here, we have a camp. This one has been occupied by Misbegotten. And soon we will see there are a lot of camps to our left side, which are all occupied by Leyndell soldiers themselves. On the street we will encounter a lot of Leyndell soldiers, foot soldiers, knights and whatnot. There's also somewhere here, I'm not sure where exactly, an invisible scarab that we can kill for an Ash of War. And also, excuse me for the coughing here, there's also at night a knight's cavalry patrolling, and I think I found the invisible scarab over here. So I guess it's right in front of the site of Grace there. You will notice, or probably everyone notices, these spectral standards in the sky. And I have some theories about them. I don't know if this is the correct, what's it called? Theory. As I said, it's just a theory, so I think these are something like, might be some buff magic, basically. Like, if the soldiers of Leyndell are fighting near them, they're better at fighting, basically. Maybe their morale is being boosted. This is how I would interpret them. Maybe it's totally something different, but I like the idea of having these, well, they already look magical, so why not give them some magical properties, right? If we have a look at these two sites here, the ballistae. What's the plural of ballista? I have no idea. So be careful, they deal a lot of damage if you keep on going up. It's getting harder, basically. It's like, this is the easy part. Now is the middle hard part, or medium difficulty, where you have to fight off three knights in total. 2 with great bows, and 1 as a distraction. Excuse me for that. Oh. And then up here we will encounter 2, what are they called? Bird tree sentinels, right? So quite the hard level. You might want to enter from somewhere else, or not at all, because you can just sprint past them, especially on Torrent. What I like about the world design here, the design of this big-ass staircase, is that there is a ramp in the middle. You see on the sides there are stairs for people, but in the middle you have a ramp where you can basically carry goods with a wagon up here. And the door is also big enough, so I think that's a plus point as well. Now, in between the walls, I think this is called the outskirts, Lendal outskirts, something like this. Surely there will be capital outskirts, excuse me. Here's another little boost for the player in form of 2 golden seeds right here. And then you have to decide, do you want to go left, basically the main path, or do you want to go this way? And of course the player always wants to go the optional path, so let's go the optional path. Why is this shadow like... What is the shadow doing? It's bright, it's dark. Bright, dark. Okay, I guess. Yeah, have fun with this camp over here. Because it just birthed one of these fuckers, a ulcerated tree spirit I think these things are called. Go back to Dark Souls 3, please. No one likes them. Lore explanation, Miyazaki wants some annoying enemies, and there you have it. That's the lore behind these things. They have no in-game lore, this is the only lore. No. In-game lore, I guess, they're protectors of the Earth Tree or aspects of the Earth Tree, whatnot, I don't know. I don't care, I don't like them. Let them go back to Dark Souls 3, please. And delete them from that game as well. Because I think these are just remnants of the Pass of Man, like... they wanted these as a different type of enemy in Dark Souls 3 for the Pass of Man, these black snake thingies with the weird texture inside of them, and they decided to not use them in Dark Souls 3, but they put them in this game, so thank you for that. This here is a little bit more interesting, because we have pot boys, or pots, but only a very, very small minor earth tree. If we have a look at other minor earth trees, for example this one, they are much bigger, right? Like the earth trees, the minor earth trees that we encounter in the game, they're much bigger, and this one is fairly small compared to that, so this one is younger. And we also have these golden centipedes all around them that we can pick up. And, well, if you've played Sekiro, you might know what centipedes resemble in games like these, in I think Japanese culture games or whatnot, whatever culture they're using. In Sekiro, centipedes were or are resembling immortality, and well, if you want to have a giant centipede living in your body, which gives you immortality, power to you. I wouldn't want to go near that thing, to be honest. I find centipedes in particular quite disgusting. And millipedes on top of that. If we continue the main path here, and let's have a look at these big ass statues all around, right? The tree sentinel, no, earth tree sentinel statues there, and then all of these guardian statues or whatever you want to call them in the walls themselves. I mean, I think the city's quite full of themselves, aren't they? Oh well. If we continue this path, we see this beautiful, not beautiful at all, gargoyles spawning in the sky. Have fun with this one. Not fairly difficult to beat, but it takes a while if they decide to dodge everything or jump away at every single moment. It's not going to be fun, to be honest. And now we are in the main battlefield here, and I have some theories surrounding these things here. Let's just call them arrows or bolts. even though they might not be these things. Like, let's just call them arrows, right? Giant arrows. And for me, they kinda resemble a what is it called? This, when you have a satellite that can basically just release metal rods that slam into the ground. They kind of remind me of that. Like just kinetic metal rods, no projectile, they're just being dropped. These ones probably were shot by a ballista, or maybe these big-ass golems, whatnot, I don't know. But what I think, these are of course a kinetic projectile. And if we have a look at these, the structure up there, it kind of looks like a contraption that holds some sort of perfume in this game. If you remember the stuff they have in the buildings of Leyndell, with all the perfumer contraptions to do whatever, they kind of look similar in my opinion, or in my memory at least. So maybe these were first shot at the enemies from Leyndell. I think it's fairly clear that these arrows were shot from the walls of Leyndell, because most of them are angled as they would have been shot from that direction, right? So these were defensive mechanisms from Leyndell. And what if they landed, when they landed, then maybe some toxin would be, some toxic fog, or maybe explosions would be triggered by these contraptions, basically the back of the arrow. Of course, because there is no feather at the end, I think it's quite hard to get them from tumbling around. Maybe if you spin them fast enough, then they will fly quite stable, but apparently it worked, right? And of course, this is a battlefield. You can see craters everywhere, like... Ah, yes. I forgot about that. Well, he basically teleported himself onto a servant. I don't know how this works. Maybe the servant is just a vessel, and he teleports onto that vessel. Maybe the servant is an illusion. But yeah, have fun fighting Margit again. What do I say? Morgoth? They're definitely not the same person. No, but alter ego of Morgoth. Margit is fighting outside the walls, Morgoth is fighting inside the walls as the Veiled Monarch. No one knows who Morgoth is, who the Veiled Monarch is. Leyndell does not know that Morgoth is an omen, otherwise they would be disgusted by him. Well, yeah, battlefield, nobles trying to find some valuable stuff in the battlefield, now being the scavengers and no longer the nobles they once were. If we go up this staircase over here, we will find ourselves in a graveyard. Isn't that a graveyard? Isn't that beautiful? No, it's not. Of course, a lot of skeletons. It's kind of surprising that there's no death root here. But we have a different thing, because we have 2 more night bosses over here. The first one is right here. At night, the bell-bearing hunter will appear once certain conditions are met, like talking, or I don't know what the conditions of the bell-bearing hunter is. Like, I always try to exhaust their dialogue, maybe I buy something, and then I reload like 5 times, and then he appears. It's so strange. And if we continue the path over here, at the corner of this small plateau, right in front of the Earth Tree, the minor Earth Tree, we will find a Death Bird. Not a Death Right Bird, the weak version, the no magic version, basically. But it's not worth it to fight them. He just drops a stupid shield. I never used that shield. I think it has no special properties, it's just a shield. Granted, it has like 100 physical block, but there are so many shields with 100 physical block that it's not even unique anymore. And if we now continue this path to the second entrance and take a left-hand turn here, and this is the path to the other minor Earth Tree. Keep in mind there are a lot of minor Earth Trees here. And instead of having one of these guardian thingies, these Dark Souls 1/Dark Souls 3 recycled enemies, we have an omen with his followers, I guess. At least they're not discriminating him. So again, do you think these are people or do you think these are Albinorics? Because I still think these are Albinorics, because we see the same model, even these as bodies, basically in the village of Albinorics. And why would you slaughter normal people in the village of Albinorics? Maybe there were also normal people living there, but I still think these Albinorics. Makes sense that these are servants as well, right? Because Albinorics... the other thing that speaks against the theory that these are Albinorics is that they still have their legs intact, right? Because the generation that looks fairly human loses their legs at some point. But maybe these are not old enough, who knows? They still have old people features, especially in their face, but maybe that is still the young version, whatnot. I have no idea. But I don't think it's a coincidence that they used their model type as dead bodies in the village of the Albinorics. And if we have a look over here in the moat, what they call the moat, I call it a swamp, whatnot. First of all, you can go in between these two rocks there to gain access to 2 dungeons. One hero grave and one normal dungeon, I guess. And in the swamp there is some lore happening. You can fight the Poo-Poo Devourer in there, and you will find Blackguard Boggart there as well. Be careful, you're getting shot at by 2 golems, and then one golem behind these trees will try and scare you, I guess. Wasn't very hidden there, but oh well. More nobles wandering around. And I think it's possible that these golems would throw, I think, not shoot with a bow, but throw these big-ass arrow things that we've seen in the battlefield there where Margit was. Or maybe Margit was throwing them. Over here at the entrance we usually have an encounter with an, what's it called? Draconic Tree Sentinel. Basically a Tree Sentinel on steroids, with buffed with lightning, ancient dragon lightning magic. But this one is dead already. Sorry for that. And now a quick little cut to the next destination, or the next start, because we now ventured from the Grand Lift right to this spot. Position number 2. If we have a look at the map, we are currently at the abandoned coffin side of Grace. This is over here. This is the mine shaft we come out of when we go the optional route without having the 2 halves of the medallion for the lift of Dectus. We can also take this path here. And then we will end up at this site here, which is basically a bunch of destroyed probably long gone golems, and a lot of these wagons, or how the game is calling them apparently, abandoned coffins. Well, what happened here? You could say they got destroyed, maybe they got, what's it called, when bandits come and rob them? They got robbed, maybe, but what is more likely, in my opinion, is that this is some sort of coffin or wagon graveyard, where you would put your old, destroyed coffins to just let them rot here. At least this is what I think. I don't think they got all dumped here due to the war. Maybe that was the reason. And I don't think that these omens here robbed them. I don't think that they went against their capital. Because they are fighting alongside Leyndell, especially in the Shattering. They're still here, well, they still wanted to defend Leyndell. And they were used in combat. Like, it's very effective having one of these brutes in the front line, right? You don't want to miss that opportunity, especially if you defend your city, right? But I think after the Shattering, they just started living here. There's one sleeping on this coffin over there, for example. I don't think that they were the cause of this destruction of the coffins. I can't believe that. If we have a look at the omens here, you can see the horns are cut. Like, all these red bumps on their body, these are usually horns. And they got cut off for some reason. Apparently that's, or not apparently, that is how they do it here, right? If you have an omen baby, you cut their horns. Except when it's a royal omen baby. Of course, if it's royal, you're not even cutting the horns, you're just dumping them into the sewer, so no one knows that the nobility or the royalty can have omen children. Arguably, this fate is even sadder than this one, but I guess, would you rather want to get dumped in the sewers, or would you rather get cut open at many different parts of your body and then dumped outside of the city or whatever? I think both fates are very gruesome, and I don't even see the reason why you want to cut them open. Like, makes no sense for me, but of course for their religion it makes sense, because it goes against the Golden Order, right? These are aspects of the Crucible, and the Crucible is no longer in. It is now, everything is now the Earth Tree, right? So, nothing Crucible anymore, thank you. Over here we have a nice lake. Then there is, on this side, I think, is a cave entrance, and over here we have the Perfumer ruins and also a catacombs, but I don't think the Perfumer ruins they're nothing special. It's just a few ruins with Perfumer machinery, or these incense thingies, whatever. Same stuff we see in Leyndell. If we go here, on the other hand, can I trigger? No, I can't. Unlucky. Usually, if you visit this area for the first time, an ancient dragon will appear. I think the dragon Lanceax will appear and will fight you until you beat him to a specific threshold, and then he will just flee the scene until you meet him again, basically. But I did this already with this character, apparently, so unlucky, I guess. But I'm sure we will encounter Lanceax somewhere else. Over here we have quite the important meeting place, so to speak, because there's not only one NPC, there are two NPCs very close to this site of grace. If you started the what's it called? Volcano Manor quest with Raya, I think her name is, then you will encounter her over here. If you gave her your if you gave her back the talisman or medallion or whatever she got robbed, when you gave it back to her, then you will encounter her here. And if you've helped Millicent with her illness, you will find her somewhere at this rock formation over here, looking at the Earth Tree. And Raya is of course recruiting you for the Volcano Manor if you choose to join. Then going down here, we will see the big camp of Leyndell soldiers. And I think this camp, or this level, or more like the part of this level, is designed for the player to approach from this side, because if we approach from this side, you can, or you might already see, above the head of my character right now, and over here now above the head of my character, there are two ballistas. What's the plural of ballista? There are two of them, and they will shoot you, of course, if you approach from the other side, basically from the main road, then you can surprise them. They won't turn around. So be careful if you approach from this side. Other than that, it's basically just a standard camp with tents, with fires, with wagons, and with a lot of enemies inside. Shouldn't be that difficult to deal with, and you even gain some rewards for exploring this area. None of these rewards are mandatory, so you don't need to go here if you really don't want to. And here we are back at the main path, the main highway. Quickly, because I haven't looked at this part the first time we went up the staircase there. When we go to the right, over here, where there are just a few camps here and there, and if we go through this little forested area to the south of the staircase, I guess from the staircase it's the east, but it is really the south of the staircase, we will find some soldiers overseeing a mining troop, a mining dudes that are mining group, or something like this. And they're not mining just regular ore, they're mining stuff that fell from the sky. You can see it by the purple glow there is. All the purple stuff was once in the sky, basically. It's just like meteorites, and over there, and the big glowing thing, we will encounter a mini-boss. And this is basically a Pokemon, right? This is a falling star beast, and it resembles some animals, like every generic four-legged animal, plus a very long spiky tail and two mandibles. In the face region, there is currently only white fur, or just very white small stones, we don't really know, and also in the butt region. And why do I say these are basically Pokemons? Because, well, they can evolve apparently. First of all, the Falling Star Beast is getting bigger, because if we would go to this area over here, this is also an impact or a landing zone for another Falling Star Beast. Keep in mind they fell out of the sky, they come from a different world possibly. They were invading maybe this is an invasion. They grow because, again, in this region there is a full-grown falling star beast, and then I think at some point they will, like insects, what's it called? I think these are, what's it called? Sandlion? Are they called sandlion? Like these things that bury inside the ground and then they wait for prey, and when prey comes too close, they're just... Or trapjaw? Trapjaw something? No, trapjaw ants is an ant family, I think. But this is basically how they work. This is the smallest evolution, so to speak, than the astel that are hanging from the ceilings in caves, and most of them are, I think, in the underground. Like, I think in the Einzel River we had one over here hanging from the ceiling. This is basically their awkward middle stage, and then their full-grown, or yeah, their, what's it called in Pokemon, like the last evolution, is basically Astel, the full Astel beast. The skull with the eye inside the crack of the skull with the two mandibles, these majestic star-looking wings, and then planets as body parts. These things. It's basically Pokemon, right? At least that's what I like to think. So when the falling star beast is becoming too big, it slams its tail into the ceiling and then transforms, I guess. That's how I imagine it. And I really like the idea of rock, space, insect transforming into... I think they're supposed to be dragonflies, the Astel version. They look fairly similar to dragonflies. Except the skull face and, well, you know. If we have a look to the north of the staircase, and I'm too high up right now, if I jump down here, that is, and if I jump down the other path as well, there's something special in here. Something very special, and it's needed for a quest line, so don't skip on that. And this is the quest line, or this is the part of Rani's quest line where you can decide to betray her, and I've already picked it up. This is the point where you can pick up the... where is it? Key items, I think. Come on, where is it? There we have it. The Amber Starlight. Let's have a look at this. An ephemeral sliver, excuse me. An ephemeral sliver that gives off a pale amber glow. What remains of a passing flash of starlight? If the stars command our fates, then amber-hued stars must command the fates of the gods. Such is the belief that inspired the use of these shards to prepare a most special draft. It took a while until I learned that this word is pronounced something like draft. I always pronounce it drogged. Like the zombies in Skyrim, the Draugr. Yeah, this is basically the attempt of Celivus to turn Rani into a puppet. But what you can do, if you don't want to betray Rani, and I wouldn't betray her, because it only ends bad for you and for Celivus, but you can start the betrayal, you can create the draft, and Celivus will give you the ring talisman thingy, where is it? the magic scorpion charm, and then you can just continue Rani's questline. You don't have to give her the draft and everything is fine, but you still gain Sylvis's ring. Oh, charm, excuse me. I always call them rings, where in previous games there were rings. But now I'm currently walking this path, and here you will find, what's his name? Corin, Brother Corin from the Round Table Hold. Once he ventures out, you will find him on this path here, and he's in search of Gold Mask, and we will find Gold Mask soon enough. Before I continue this path, I want to have a look at the building that we can see from here, because this is, I think it's called the Second Church of America, and there you will also continue, or finish rather, the quest line of Yura, the Bloody Finger Hunter, of Hunter of Bloody Fingers, whatever. And there you will meet his end, and you might be able to obtain a very cool weapon. Well, I think two very cool weapons, like his weapon, Yura's weapon, and then Eleonora's pole blade, which is arguably cooler, but it's up to you which weapon you like more. But the weird thing about this church is two things. First of all, there's golden vines growing there, but this is probably just because, like, it's very close to the Earth Tree. If you have a look around, basically everything on the Altus Plateau has a golden-ish hue. Even the sky has a golden hue. If you remember, if you remember the sky from Caelid had a red hue due to the Scarlet Rot corruption. And look, a hero's grave you can see from here. And basically this area has a golden hue, like yellowish, very yellow sky. I'm not really a fan of the sky. Too yellow everything. And then these reddish amber colors of the nature here. But what is odd about this church is that there is no real path leading to this church. So maybe the path got destroyed during the shattering, or they didn't bother building an actual path to that church, I guess. It's a bit odd, but oh well. Maybe an oversight, maybe intentional, who knows? I don't. If we continue this path over here, we will end up at a broken bridge. And this broken bridge over here, well, was something magical to me. If you remember the gameplay trailer they showed us, I think it was the gameplay trailer, then I think this was the bridge and not the other side where, and there's a merchant, very nice, where you've seen co-op taking place, right? The main character summoned someone here and they basically jumped down the bridge part into the foggy mess that is the area down there. And if you have no idea about this game, like before the game came even out, when you've seen the trailer, this looked awesome. Where they were crouching down there, and I will talk about this teleporter in a minute, but let's go down here. Some soldiers here, unlucky for them, they can't leave anymore. The character and the phantom would jump down here, and then you would and then a scene would be shown where they just crouch here and try to evade these worm faces, basically, and it looked very good. And now that I know this area down here, I know that it is a complete shithole. I don't enjoy this area at all. Oh boy, I don't like this area. And it's just because of the worm faces. They might have a very cool lore reason why they exist, why they're how they are, but I can't stand this enemy type. I don't like Deathblight, and they're vomiting the Deathblight all over the place. I don't like it. And yes, I know, I think Sully the Witch made a video about them, about the lore, something unearthed, something something. I don't care. I hate this enemy type. And they're like 10 million down here, and this is why I don't like this area. And on top of that, this area is very foggy, and I think it kinda destroys the atmosphere of this area down here. At least the kind of fog they're using, because it makes the whole area look very grey. I mean, the fog itself is grey. And it makes the area look... I don't know, the colors are not sticking out, because if you have a look at the ground, it looks quite beautiful, right? You have these pink flowers here, then you have the orange of the leaves, and the white bark of the trees. That would look amazing. But then you create this very grey fog everywhere down here, and it just looks dirty. I don't know, it's the only way I can describe it. It looks dirty. And I'm not enjoying that, to be honest. It's maybe just preference, but I think without the fog, this thing would look better. And what I forgot to show you now is this area with the blue flowers, because right here we have another rise tower, a mage tower basically. This one is fittingly called the Mirage Rise because there is nothing here. And even if you go through this area, it says Mirage Rise, but there is nothing. And of course, with every rise you have a puzzle, and this puzzle is basically find 3 of these glowing things and then touch phantasm or whatever it said, and it's gone. And you need to do this 2 more times. There's an easy one somewhere in the corner here. If you follow, over there is one, the second one, and the third one is quite well hidden, and I'm not showing where it is. Because why would I? It's a secret. Or you just watch another video if you really want to know where it is. But it's well hidden. But yeah, if you're not... what's it called? I'm missing words again. Unlucky, I guess. Yeah, okay, forget it. If you still like this area, let me just describe it in a different way. Then let me show you the following thing. Oh, 4. All of a sudden, 4 worm faces. You don't have to fight them. Okay, how about nah. I think this ruin down here is the worst ruin of all of them. Because they're like an excessive amount of worm faces sitting here, 3 here, 5 in total, camping in front of this thingy here, the cellar. It's just not fun for me going through this level. And there are some not interesting, but there might be some useful things down here. Let's say it like this. And especially if you're faith built, I think there's somewhere over here like what's it called? The golden explosive thingy. No, not this shield. This shield, by the way, regenerates HP. And that's just gravelstone. Who cares about gravelstone? Not me. What's it called? Like Wrath of Gods, just the Elden Ring version of Wrath of Gods. Or Wrath of the Gods, whatever. Okay, I want to know it now. Where is it? Wrath of Gold, of course, Wrath of Gold. Everything is gold here. How could I forget? But yeah, as a faith build, you want to go down here. And by the way, there's also a golden seed here. Very nice, but it's just not fun to fight through all these worm faces. I don't know, it's like I don't like it. And I don't need to like it. But it's there. If we now venture to the north, in the northern area of this, well, of this Altus Plateau, we will find, if you've played Bloodborne, an enemy type that you might recognize, because this is basically the Hamwick Charnel Lane. Or at least similar enemy types. I think they reused some of their sounds and movesets. I might be wrong there, but I think these very scary looking hags use some movesets from Bloodborne. But first, before we have a look at the windmills that are here, I will do a different video on the windmill village over here, but we will have a look at these, there's a third, 3 windmills soon enough. But before that, we go to the west, because the ruins here, the ruins that we will soon encounter, have some patched in goodies, basically. Here we have a Site of Grace underneath the bridge part. And I wanted to talk about the the teleporter that was here on this side of the bridge. I get why it's there. I still don't like the idea of having a teleporter to skip the area, basically. Like, you can already walk around the area, because you can go up here. Like, these rocks and these cliffs are no obstacle, basically. I think there's a spirit spring even. So, but I don't like the idea of taking a teleporter to skip a lot of content, even though the content is like unpleasant. Some people might like this area down there. I don't, but it exists. So why do you want the player to skip it? Here we have a special kind of noble undead person thingy here. Because if you kill them, you will lag terribly, apparently. Well, I've already picked it up, but you will gain a big rune. I think a rune 10. Like, where is it? This golden rune, strength 10, basically. Quite a good loot for one of these small dudes, basically. Then we have one of these caravans. Caravan. And it here is a very useful strength weapon. So if you're playing a strength build, you might wanna clear these soldiers out, or maybe just grab the item and flee, because they are carrying the following weapon. Let me see where it is. Over here, the Great Stars, which is basically just a rusty old big stick with thorns that will deal a lot of damage. It can deal bleeding damage, or it has blood loss build-up, and the special ability of healing you. Like, when you hit an enemy, you recover a certain amount of HP. It might not be much, but everything counts, really. And the good thing is that you can slap on the... Bear with me. Where is it? You can slam on the Prayerful Strike Ash of War, and if you give it to your Mimic tier, it will heal itself a lot when using the Prayerful Strike. It's such a strong PvE attack. But now let's go to the Rife Blood Ruins, and these are basically like... Usually they were nothing special. You could obtain the Bloody Hellas, I think, down there. The big pokey weapon thingy. Let's see if I find it direct. I think it's above my current weapon. There we have it, the Bloody Hellas, or Healy's or whatever. A pretty strong arcane weapon, arcane dex weapon. And this thing is very important here, this summon sign or this invasion sign basically. You can invade Magnus the Beast Claw's world, which is very good. Why would you want to do this? Well, first of all, he drops you another one of these thingies that we can find in the coffin there. The Great Star. I already forgot the name. You can find another, or you can obtain another Great Star there. And this NPC will, again a lag, I don't know why this happens a lot. This NPC will count towards the invasion quest line that gives you a Vari. So if you don't want to invade in online mode, you can just invade this NPC here and you will progress the quest line of Vari, which is very nice. I think this was patched in with the second most recent patch. I might be wrong there, but that's basically it. It got patched in. It wasn't there from the beginning. Over here we have the one of the entrances to Mount Gelmir. I say one of two because the other one for me is... Where is it? Over here. This is another path leading to around the volcano itself. Like up to this point, you can't get into the volcano this way, but you can that way. So this is basically the main path to the volcano. But this is something for another video. What I find kind of sad about these caravans, whatever you want to call them, is when they reach the destination, they just wander around like they have no real destination. Their destination is at the end of this road path, and then they will just stand around doing nothing. I would like for them to build up a camp or something like this. That would be a cool addition. Like, build up some tents, build up some that make a fire and sit around the fire, something to, well, something more than just standing around would be great. But now let's have a excuse me? Why did that happen? But now let's have a look at the windmills, and I will use this thingy down here. I think I can use it, right? Ah, yes, I can. Ha! Up here on this side we have Gold Mask. You want to find Gold Mask and tell Corrin to progress his quest line. And now let's have a look at the windmills, because there's something happening on these windmills here. Some nice little lore. I have my problems with the windmills here, but I mean, because these are basically just... First of all, why would you want to have a windmill? What is the purpose of a windmill? Of course, because these are no electricity creating windmills. These are used to grind wheat or grain to flour, basically. These are used to grind. They are big rocks inside, like grinding rocks, and I don't really know how it works, but it grinds up stuff to create flour, right? But the problem I have with this is there's no wheat field around. Like, there's no real food production going on in the lands between at all. And yes, maybe you have this small little stable, but how many people can you feed with this big of a stable? Like, let's say you have like 10 pigs in here. How many people are you going to feed with them? Or maybe you have some cows in there. Not many. I doubt that you can feed the mouths of everyone in Leyndell. And this is my problem with Elden Ring and with the lands between in total. Like, there's not enough living space, and there's not enough fields, pastures, stuff like that to feed all people in this game, right? Then here we have a random ass battle mage who will bombard you with Cannon of Heimer and Gavel of Heimer, or whatever it's called, the hammer spell. He is not randomly standing there, he's doing something. Great. Very, very good, he's doing something. Why there is no death root here, I have no idea. This is basically just a pond. This could be a good location for more death root. You have corpses, you have still water. But oh well, there is already a death root area over here, so maybe you don't want to have that many in one area, right? East Windmill Pasture. Scary ladies dancing around a pile of burning corpses with the noble traveling garb and the navy hood and some other item. The twinned knight swords. Well, clearly these people that are just dead here got killed by these very happy ladies. We will talk about these hags, as I said, in a different video. So then there's only one more windmill to go. Let's see what we can find there. Because first windmill, not much, a few rats. This windmill, hags dancing around dead, burning bodies. And here we have at the village windmill pasture, we have nobles cowering in fear and some scaly misbegotten as their what are they called? The nobles are the captives of the misbegotten. That's what I want to say. And they might or might not execute them. So let's just continue. Nothing special to see here. Nothing at all. Just some hostage situation. As said, I don't want to talk about this village quite yet, so let's keep going this path, and we are almost through. Almost. This area over here might not be as dangerous as the entrance to, or the main entrance, but as you can see, there is also a gate here in front of us, and this area is as well is defended as well. And this one is defended by trebuchets that will try and hit you, but you have so much space here you can easily evade these rocks. Like if you constantly switch your your position, then the AI doesn't know where to shoot, and if it hits you, it's your fault. Basically. Yeah, not much to say here. Just some Leyndell soldiers protecting their city and more camps. There is one special thing, and it's not really that special, but for me it's special because they're using a special chest over here. And this is not the only special chest. There is a similar chest in the Perfumer's Ruins that I skipped, basically, this area over here. One special chest, what could that be? If you know it already, please tell me before I show it. Write it down into the comments why you think this chest is special and what this chest has in common with the other chest in the Perfumer's Ruin thingies. Write it down quickly. Pause the video and write down why I think this chest is special. And you're too late. It's a Dark Souls 3 chest. That's all. That's a Dark Souls 3 chest. Yeah, if you're sad there's some wonderful item in there, no. I think it's a great bow in here. Nothing special. But it's the model of a Dark Souls 3 chest. That's the special part. Isn't that amazing? I think so too. Sorry for that, not really. Okay, let's go to the... First of all, let's not die here. Let's go to the last and I think most interesting part of this whole plateau. And what am I talking about? Of course, this area over here. It's a fairly small area packed with a lot of action, and that's what I like about this area. It's not like... Where do I need to go? Why am I not down there? I want to get down there. Oof. I climbed up too high for this. The special thing is you have a wonderful fight versus a very big enemy. There is another hero's grave with a fun, what's it called? Black Knife Assassin encounter. And you have electricity charged goats trying to roll you over. And over here, they're not here yet, or not here anymore, but over here you will find another mimic tier or larval tier encounter, where you kill a noble and all of a sudden it is a big beast you have to fight, and if you manage to kill that beast, then you gain a larval tier that you of course need to respec. You can already hear the thunder. Fulgur Bloom is near, or whatever the pronunciation of that plant is. I call it Fulgur Bloom. I don't know how you pronounce it. Me no English. But here, basically. Fulgur Bloom. Yeah, that's how I call it. And golden goats. These are goats, right? They are not sheep. No. We have rams. The rams are the male goats, right? Please don't correct me on that. Do it if you want, but... right in front of the hero's grave, we have a Black Knife Assassin. If you want to have a little bit of fun, you might want to summon your some Spirit Ash and let the Spirit Ash dude fight against that Black Knife Assassin. Always interesting to see NPCs or AI controlled NPCs fight each other. At least in my opinion. Then, somewhere here, and I think I've killed it already, is a scarab that you want to kill to gain the power of the ram. You can roll around and deal a lot of lightning damage to enemies, which is amazing. If you don't know what I'm talking about, if you think I'm talking just some random shit, then have a look at this right here, Ash of War, Lightning Ram. And it is Lightning Ram. Skill inspired by tumbling rams. Let out a bleed? Blade? Then tumble forwards, clad in lightning. Tumbles can be repeated in rapid succession. You can roll around like a ram and deal massive amounts of damage. Especially fun in PvP. Here we have the Stormcaller Church. I think it's clear why it's called the Stormcaller Church. There was already a lot of lightning here. On this plateau we can read lore swords. What are you calling these swords? I call them lore swords. These are basically just telling a story here, right? Lore sword. The routing of the ancient dragons, Godwyn the Golden fought to the last, earning the friendship of Dread Fortisax. Fortisax is the dragon you will encounter in the Nightmare of Fear, Godwyn something. And of course, because there's not enough happening here, the Lightning Rams and the Hero's Grave, the Blank Knife Assassin. No! There is also the Ancient Dragon that I promised you. And how do I know this is an Ancient Dragon? Well, fairly easy. Ancient Dragons have the... they basically look like they're made out of stone, because, well, it might be stone. They have the inside of their wings is golden, and they, when you attack them, they use red lightning attacks. And they look quite amazing. What I want to see is... do they or do they not? No, it looks like they have one row of teeth only. Because if you remember the Dragonkin soldiers, I think the Dragonkin soldiers, they have a similar face, similar looking face as these dragons. But I think they have 2 rows of teeth. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they're modeled after the ancient dragons. But I think that's it. We are through the Altus Plateau, and I'm torn. I'm not sure if I like this area or not. I think I'm fairly neutral on this area, because it's nothing special, right? And you have the problem, at least I had the problem, I wanted to see Leyndell. I wanted to see how it looks inside this awesome looking city, right? And the problem was, I was like, I could explore this area, or I could go into Leyndell. And this was my problem with this area, my first playthrough, I mean, right? I wanted to explore Leyndell more than I wanted to explore this area, and I rushed it. And rushing things is not good, but that's who I am. Like, if I see something that interests me, I want to go there, especially in video games. But let's chill with these dudes. So the Altus Plateau, quite the nice area. A little bit too much yellow for my taste in the color palette. I mean, there's a lot of yellow, orange going on here, but well, it's close to the Earth Tree, it makes sense, but I wish I could see some other colors here. But overall, the area's nice, I guess. Level design is nothing special, but nothing really bad happening here, except the forest down here, which is ugh. But the rest of this area is fine. From a lore perspective, it looks quite amazing. Kind of sad that there's not... I kind of wish the area would have been a little bit bigger up here, and you would see some wheat fields or farms or stuff like this, just to give the whole world a little bit more believability, I think is what I want to say. Like, because I'm struggling with the thought that they can feed their soldiers with food, right? And don't say, they need no food, they are immortal. Yes, just because you're immortal, it doesn't mean that you don't want to eat or drink stuff. Even if you don't need to eat, you want to eat because it's fun, right? You want to use your sense of taste for something. At least that's my opinion. So, but I think I wrap things up here. Write down in the comments what you think about this area, if you like it. And that's it from me. Goodbye.